Hello, Roadrunners. My name is Enrique Medina, and we welcome you back to this second episode of The Sportsrunner. In this episode, we'll get more news on the NBA All-Star Game, news from some of the biggest rivalry games in soccer, an announcement we've been waiting to hear for a long time in California with MLB stadiums reopening, and the biggest recent signing in the NFL. On top of that, our Sportsrunner team brings to you our first segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight, where we interview a Rio Hondo College athlete and get to know a little bit more about their story. This and more in this episode of The Sportsrunner. With that said, we begin our show with our weekly recaps with Sportsrunner Weekly. Justin, out to you with the latest on the NBA news.
My name is Justin Gomez, and I'm here for your weekly NBA recap. An update on the actual All-Star players. Devin Booker will now be sitting out due to injury, and taking his place will be Mike Conley from the Utah Jazz, making his first ever All-Star appearance. Next, the NBA announced the players who will be participating this year's Skills Challenge, 3-point contest, dunk contest. First, for the Skills Challenge, it will feature players like Luka Doncic, Chris Paul, Robert Covington, Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, and Nikola Vucevic. The player who I think will win the Taco Bell Skills Challenge either have to be Luka Doncic, Chris Paul. Another player that may come out and surprise everybody has to be Domantas Sabonis due to his playmaking as a big man. After the Skills Challenge will be the 3-point contest. We'll have Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, and Zach LaVine fighting for that 3-point trophy. Out of these guys, I think everybody has Stephen Curry winning this, but I would watch out for players like Jason Tatum and Zach LaVine to catch fire early. Lastly, for the dunk contest, it will have Alferny Simons, Obi Toppin, Cassius Stanley going on an all-out battle during the halftime of the All-Star Game. Out of these three players, I'm going to have to go with Cassius Stanley, the California native, to win the dunk contest, because I've seen what this guy can do in-game, and I can only imagine what he can do in an open court in front of a big crowd. Lastly, superstar Blake Griffin has agreed a buyout with the Detroit Pistons and will now become an unrestricted free agent. Top 5 teams most likely to sign with Blake Griffin are the Miami Heat, the Brooklyn Nets, Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Los Angeles Lakers. In my opinion, Blake Griffin will make the Los Angeles Lakers or the Brooklyn Nets a clear favorite to win the championship. But if he chooses to go to the Miami Heat, the Clippers, or the Warriors, I believe he'll make them a top contender, but I don't know if they would exactly get that first year championship. That concludes this week's NBA recap. Now on to Fernando with soccer.
Hello, Roadrunners. My name is Fernando Ramos, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about last week's fixtures. We start things off in the Camp Nou, where Barcelona took on Sevilla in the Copa del Rey semi-final. Sevilla were victorious in the first leg with goals from French center-back Younous Koundé and ex-Barcelona midfielder Ivan Rakitic. Barcelona were huge underdogs in this game, as they had to put 3 goals past Sevilla without conceding any goals also. The first goal came in the 11th minute from Barcelona winger Ousmane Dembele. This was an important goal as it gave Barcelona fans a little bit of hope going into the rest of the game. A 70th minute penalty for Sevilla, which would have put the game to bed. However, Sevilla forward Lucas Ocampos unconvincingly struck the ball, and which led to an easy save for Marc-Andre ter Stegen. The 93rd minute, Barcelona veteran Gerard Piqué scored a dramatic late header, which sent the game to extra time. In the 5th minute of extra time, Barcelona striker Martin Braithwaite scored the 3rd goal, which sent Barcelona to the Copa del Rey final. We move on to Germany now, where Bayern Munich hosted Borussia Dortmund. The game started perfectly for Borussia Dortmund, with 2 early goals coming from Erling Haaland. However, a hat-trick from Lewandowski and a late goal from Leon Goretzka gave the victory to Bayern Munich. We move on to Madrid, where the Madrid derby saw Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid draw in a title-defining game. The first goal came by Atletico Madrid in the 15th minute by Uruguayan striker Luis Suarez, as for Real Madrid, Karim Benzema scored in the 88th minute to tie the game. Finally, we move on to Manchester, where Manchester United took on league leaders Manchester City. Manchester United managed to pull off a surprising victory after goals from Bruno Fernandes in the 2nd minute and Luke Shaw in the 50th minute. This wraps up this week's section of soccer. Now on to the next sport.
Thank you, Fernando. Switching from soccer now onto baseball and the MLB, we officially have spring training in full swing. This past week, we saw the debuts in spring training of guys like Clayton Kershaw, Bryce Harper, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Yu Darvish and Snell being the two newest members of the San Diego Padres. Harper, the 2015 NL MVP, homered in his first at-bat of spring training with the Phillies. As for the new 2020 World Series champion, Clayton Kershaw, he started off his spring training on Friday against the Kansas City Royals, pitching 2 innings, striking out 2 Royals hitters in the process. This week also saw the debut of Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, and others from the defending champions. This week's matchup was also highlighted by the uniqueness of new Dodgers starter, Trevor Bauer. The 2020 NL Cy Young Award winner pitched the majority of his start Saturday afternoon with one eye closed. And yes, I said that right, one eye closed. Can you believe that? Bauer jokingly said after, "I figured if they can't score off of me with one eye open, it's going to be difficult to score off of me with 2 eyes open." This week did not prove itself to be also great though for the Houston Astros, as they lost a crucial member of their starting pitching staff in Framber Valdez. Valdez is going to be lost for a significant amount of time with a finger injury. Not only that, but the Houston Astros also heard the unfortunate news on their part, with tough news from top pitching prospect Forrest Whitley. It was announced that Whitley has a UCL sprain in his elbow and is being recommended to take Tommy John surgery, which would more than likely end his season. They did combat this injury situation though by signing free agent starter Jake Odorizzi to a 2-year deal. Odorizzi last played for the Twins and was an all-star back in 2019. In other free agency news, the Milwaukee Brewers signed outfield free agent Jackie Bradley Jr. Bradley Jr.'s departure from Boston and signing with Milwaukee officially puts an end to the 3-man outfield that won the World Series in Boston back in 2018. Also in the headlines this week, California officials announced that fans will be able to return to stadiums this year. And yes, I said that right. On April 1st, this plan would take into effect with limited capacity. Amongst the plan to reopen, it's important to keep in mind California's colored tiers, which do take an effect into this plan. The purple tier, the most limiting tier of all of them, followed along by the red tier, orange tier, and then yellow tier before normality. In the reopening plan announced Friday, those counties in the purple tier will only allow somewhere around 100 people, the most limited of all. The red tier will allow somewhere around 20% capacity, 33% capacity in the orange tier, and 67% around there for the yellow tier. This announcement means that all 5 California Major League teams will be finally able to have fans again. This is amazing news for us Californians and for any of you Roadrunners trying to catch a ball game this year. With that said, that's going to conclude our weekly recap for baseball and the MLB for this week. I'm Enrique Medina. Out to you, Luke, with more on football.
What's up, Roadrunners? It's Luke, and here's another NFL recap. We start off with J.J. Watt, who is now an Arizona Cardinal. After spending weeks of sending out cryptic tweets saying that he might team up with his brothers with the Pittsburgh Steelers and that he might go join Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, he has finally revealed that he is going to be an Arizona Cardinal, saying that he believes in Kyler Murray and that he can't wait to team up with DeAndre Hopkins, another former Texan. Some may say that this wasn't the smartest decision, that if he was really trying to ring chase, he should have gone to another team, but we'll see if his veteran savvy and his leadership could really boost up this Cardinals defense, and maybe they could take the team to the next level. Next, we have a lot of cuts that are happening. Minnesota tight end Kyle Rudolph just got cut. He's been a fan favorite for a very long time. He's been a consistent tight end until the last few seasons. A lot of Minnesota fans are sad to see him go, but at the same time, it's understandable. He's kind of getting up in age. And Irv Smith, the second tight end, is a little bit younger and is producing a little bit more than him. Next, we have Kyle Van Noy, which is a crazy cut. I guess he was a cap casualty for the Miami Dolphins. His contract was a little too much, and sadly he had to get cut due to his contract. He was a key player on the Miami's defense and really made that defense solid. He's an unrestricted free agent right now, so he could go to any team. He might choose a contender. He might choose a team that he thinks is emerging. We'll just have to wait and see what these veterans choose to do with the rest of their career. And next we have the Bears, and actually making news for the good reasons. First, they low-key just said, oh, we'll do anything to get Deshaun Watson. But then at the same time, they're like, oh, we want Russell Wilson too. I really don't. No one really knows what they're trying to say right now. A lot of Bears fans are like, well, if we want to win now, we should get Russell. But if we want a long-term investment, we should get Deshaun. Either way, if the Bears could pull this trade, any trade off for them, they'd be winning either way. And Russell Wilson's out here saying that he really likes that offensive line that the Bears have. And then the Bears have been regretting drafting Mitchell Trubisky and passing on Deshaun Watson. So we'll just have to wait and see what they do next. Anyways, thanks for watching Sportsrunner.
A lot of great news from this week in sports. And to fire back with Justin's weekly recap, Blake Griffin on Sunday was actually confirmed to now have signed with the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, yes, that is correct. Blake Griffin will now join a team that includes James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and also reuniting with former LA Clippers teammate DeAndre Jordan. But let's get to hear a little bit more about this and more of some of our other sports news that we talked about in our weekly recaps with the Sportsrunner Digest. Hello, Roadrunners, and welcome back to this segment of the Sportsrunner Digest, where we digest some of the information that you just saw in those weekly recaps in more depth and in more detail. So let's get right into things. Justin, the floor is yours with the NBA. Tell us about what's going on.
All right, so the big thing this week was superstar Blake Griffin is now an unrestricted free agent. He wants out of Detroit, doesn't want to play with the Pistons no more. And some expected landing spots for him are the Nets, the Heat, Lakers, Clippers, and Warriors. And right now, I think it's expected for him to sign with the Nets. For me, I think it's game over. If he goes with the Nets, I think they're for sure going to win this whole thing.
Yeah. I heard that rumor too. I forgot who threw it out there. It might have been Woj. I'm not too exactly sure. Might have been Shams. But yeah, I think you might be right, especially right now with Anthony Davis's injury. And who knows if that could be a problem down the line with the Lakers and for a potential playoff run. But definitely the Nets with James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Blake Griffin, reuniting with DeAndre Jordan and just the team they have, it's going to be absolutely stacked. It's like, I don't know if you could stop them.
It's just a powerhouse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Luke, anything to add?
I mean, it's good that, Blake Griffin's able to get out of Detroit. I know he wasn't really how they were handling that situation was like not very cool, making him not playing games because they wanted to trade him. I'm just glad that he was able to, make an agreement and get out of there. That would be cool seeing him play for the Nets. I think he's like a fan favorite player that people would like to see him, get a ring. Wherever he goes, I hope him success, and that would be pretty cool. I just hope he retires as a Clipper. I know he probably won't come to the Clippers this season, but I think he should definitely, near the very end of his career, should just come back to Los Angeles.
That is one of the spots that was potentially mentioned. We'll have to wait and see if that actually comes to fruition, if he does go back to the Clippers. But at least for now, it looks like the Nets might be the most likely destination. And, like you mentioned, it would be pretty cool to see a guy like that be able to win a ring, especially with, potentially with the Nets or whoever he lands with. So we'll see how things with that go. But Fernando, let's switch off to you with a little bit more on soccer. So tell us what's the story with soccer.
So this past weekend we just had a lot of big games. We had the Copa del Rey semifinal against Barcelona versus Sevilla. That ended up being a very dramatic game. The first leg ended 2-0 for Sevilla, and the home game Barcelona needed to score 3 without any reply, because if Sevilla were to score 1, Barcelona were to score 4 due to the away goal rule. The game started with an 11th goal minute from Ousmane Dembele, and then a penalty missed by Sevilla around the 70th minute. Red card for Fernando in the 91st minute, and then a dramatic late header by Gerard Piqué in the 93rd minute, which sent the game to extra time. And then in the 95th minute, striker Martin Braithwaite scored the 3rd goal to send Barcelona to the final of the Copa del Rey.
Oh yeah, and we also had other fixtures too. You mentioned it before we started. There's also the Manchester Derby. We saw
Or
the Madrid Derby between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, and
and
that ended in a draw.
the classic.
Manchester, yeah, United beat Manchester City this weekend, and
You know what? You know what? That game, the United Derby, actually is very important for the title race right now. I think City are like 10 points clear with United right behind them. And you
yes,
know, right now I don't see anybody stopping City. But if anyone is gonna stop them, they have to start dropping points now. And I think United got a huge victory against the Citizens. So if they have any chance of taking the title away from City, then they got a really big result today.
exactly. It's kind of the deal with a few seasons ago with Liverpool and City. At that point, it was Liverpool who was actually in first, and City who was trying to catch up, and they had that big victory against Liverpool. Around this time, might have been a little bit later, but wound up being probably the biggest game in the title race. Going back to the Barca game, though, I'm curious to see how much that will elevate their confidence as a squad. Definitely looks like they've been kind of getting a little bit back on track. I don't know how much that'll take into effect for the next leg of the Champions League. They still have such a huge mountain to climb, but seeing them play like this against Sevilla and mounting a comeback like that, I feel like as a Barca supporter, whoever's a Barca supporter, you just have to feel some type of confidence just seeing that from this week. You have confidence that hey, maybe they can do something.
You know what? That it's a big confidence boost, but at the same time they haven't won anything yet. They still have the final to play, and they're still into contention for the league. Like you said earlier, the Atletico Madrid, who's in first place right now, drew their game, so they lost points. So Barcelona overtook Madrid in the table, and then they're still like 6 points behind Atletico, if I'm wrong. So they still have a chance, but they still haven't won anything yet. I think once
Yeah.
once they get their first title under their belt this season, especially, I just don't think that they have a huge shot in taking PSG, especially the way that PSG have been playing recently.
Oh,
Even though even though they have been, finally getting understood with Ronald Koeman, I still think they still have a lot of work to do.
well, with that said, let's switch now onto baseball, and I'll bring you with your baseball news this week. The Governor Gavin Newsom of California and the California officials announced that they will actually be reopening Major League Baseball stadiums here in the state of California. So that'll mean the Oakland Athletics, the San Francisco Giants, San Diego Padres, and both LA Angels and Los Angeles Dodgers will be reopening up their stadiums to fans. Obviously, we know this is going to be limited due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And just to kind of talk about the plan a little bit, we know there is the color tiers here in California, purple being the worst situation. We also have the red tier, orange tier, and yellow tier, which progressively gets better and better. Um, the purple tier will only allow around 100 fans to come into the stadiums. Then it would be, I believe it was around 20 something percent, then around 30 something percent. And then for the yellow tier, the best tier, it would allow around 65, 67%, somewhere in that range. So I want to get your guys' thoughts about this plan about reopening. It's set to come into fruition on April 1st because that's when opening day starts for Major League Baseball. Let me know, you guys, about your thoughts with this.
I think it should be fine as long as they're very careful, monitor everything. Because, like, you don't know what the fans are bringing into the stadium. So they gotta make sure, like, clean after themselves, like clean the whole stadium when they're done. Like, just be careful with it because you don't want to like force like going into stadiums just to have someone catch COVID and then the whole thing gets shut down again.
Yeah, for sure. Um, One thing I do want to mention is that it was mentioned in the reopening plan that fans would actually need to get their food and order from their seats, so they can't actually get up and go to the store or whatever to buy whatever they need, or if they want to buy like a jersey, memorabilia, anything like that, they have to do it from their seats. So let me know a little bit, you Luke and you Fernando, about some of your guys' thoughts on this reopening plan again.
I mean, I know it's like a really big deal. We're opening up jobs too by having people back at stadiums. Like concession stand workers, people work in the team shop and at the food places. I think it's good that we're taking care of the employees. I think that's the most important thing besides protecting players. I think it's kind of cool that fans could just order from their seats now too. I think they're doing a pretty good job so far of how they want to bring back fans. I think it's pretty fun and innovative, and I think it'll be good, especially with the vaccine coming in, and more people are going to be able to take it, and cases like slowly but surely dropping. I think we're moving in a good direction. I'm happy to see that baseball is going to be one of the sports to bring back fans.
Yeah, Fernando, let me know a little bit about what you think with this whole situation.
I think that is good. It's always nice to have fans in the stadium, but you said I think you had mentioned 65% of the stadium was gonna be able to reopen, right?
Well, that's actually depending on the tier of where they're at. There's like colored tiers depending on how bad the situation is for COVID. Purple being the worst situation. At that point, it would be like extremely limited, like 100 fans around there. The next one would be around 20 something percent. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head. Then it would be around 30 something percent.
Right.
And then the last tier, like the second to last tier, or well, the last tier before normalcy, it would be around like 60 something percent.
Right.
So that's kind of how the numbers are going with how they're going to handle things.
I think that I think, but besides having the fans there, having the environment, the players are going to be the ones benefiting from this as well. They're going to be able to experience being able to play under fans over. It's been like a year since the last time they've been able to play with fans. I think it's good. It's just, as long as everyone stays safe. I think it's gonna be a little hard for like you said, the yellow tier, 65% of the stadium, for everyone in the stadium to follow the rules, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I mean, I can imagine it being different for some of the different states, around the country that have baseball teams. Places like California, New York would definitely, I can imagine, being more strict than, let's say, a place maybe like, I don't
Miami.
know, Kansas City or somewhere around there. So I can imagine it being different depending on the stadium. I definitely love the idea again of having fans in the stadium. We kind of saw a glimpse of it during the playoffs last year in the World Series in Texas, where they had a neutral site. But I think this could definitely work, especially like you had mentioned earlier, Luke, with more vaccines being dished out and more people receiving it. I think slowly but surely, I think maybe in a few months, maybe even by next season, things could probably be back to normal, I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's switch off to our next sport. Luke, give us some more with football.
It was Well, to start off the football news, J.J. Watt finally chose the team he was going to. He was an unrestricted free agent, and he did a really good job at, just dropping hints on where he could go and confusing all of the NFL world. Like, oh, I might go to Pittsburgh to play with my brothers. Or I might go to Green Bay, or I might ring chase and join Tampa. There's like stuff like that. And finally, he confirmed that he will be playing for the Arizona Cardinals this upcoming season. People are happy for him. I know it's a move not a lot of people expected. He didn't. It wasn't even the team that offered to give him the biggest bag, but from him, he believes in this team. So that's his next chapter in his journey right now.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised when I saw the news. I did not expect the Arizona Cardinals either to get J.J. Watt. I was thinking more, Pittsburgh, Green Bay. Those are kind of the two big places that were being thrown out. He does reunite with DeAndre Hopkins, so that'll be nice to see. And this kind of ties back to the Blake Griffin situation, you can even say, where they were just mutually unhappy with each other. They decided to part ways. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Justin.
I mean, yeah, it's good for organizations to let players make those decisions and let them go on to a different team to continue their career. So it's good to see J.J. Watt and Blake Griffin, players like that, be able to leave the team to go somewhere else. And I'm glad that J.J. Watt found a home in Arizona.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Fernando, with that idea of mutually parting ways, you have a similar stance with it, or?
Well, I wanted to get back to how Luke said about the money. I really respect the player who follows a team based on how they want to perform, how he believes that they're going to perform over chasing the money. I know a few seasons ago there was a lot of players for soccer, especially that instead of going to play for a top team in Europe, they would go play for the Chinese Super League, where they would just earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I respect players that like that a lot.
It'll be interesting to see what JJ could do with the Cardinals. I'm curious to see too, eventually at some point in the future, if a situation like this may happen with the quarterbacks that have been rumored on the market, but we'll have to see. But that's for another discussion for another day. And with that said, we thank you all for this segment of the Sportsrunner Digest. I'm Enrique Medina, joined by Justin Gomez, Luke Perez, and Fernando Ramos. On to our next segment. A season canceled in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic did not stop this Rio Hondo College athlete from helping his team get better during the year. Although his soccer season was canceled, Angel Cardenas continues with motivation, hunger, and spirit more than ever. Let's get to know a little bit more about Angel Cardenas in this premiere segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight. Hello, Roadrunners, and we welcome you to this premiere segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight. For this week, we're having the chance to interview Angel Cardenas from the Rio Hondo College men's soccer team. So, Angel, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So let's get straight into things. I know I have Fernando here. He's our soccer guy here for the Sportsrunner. I want to start off with a little bit about the pandemic and how it related to your season. Obviously, last season, in the 2019 season, you were able to get through a full season. And then that spring hit right in the beginning of 2020. That's where things changed, obviously, around March, around this point last year. So those spring sports started getting canceled. And I want to get to know a little bit about the process and what happened. How did he get notified that things for the 2020 campaign were going to get canceled? Just let me know a little bit about that, about how you got notified about that.
So, as you said, we do have a spring class, and from there we started they started notifying us about, COVID and how it's growing, how it's becoming a pandemic, and how it's affecting us and what we're gonna do. So, as class progressed, we moved on to the summer training. We stayed completely remote, and probably the last month, which is the last semester of summer, they told us no season. So it was just, are we gonna have a season? Are we not? Are we are? It's just back and forth with the coaches. All these meetings that were coming in. At the end of the day, they just said no. I think it's better for us to stay remote.
All right. Nice to meet you, Angel, Fernando. Glad to have you here. I just want to let you know, have you talked to any of your coaches or any of your sports directors to see when you guys are gonna have another season or when you guys will be coming back?
Yes, we're currently in that spring class again, but they're talking about perhaps maybe this summer, depending on the vaccine and if we follow protocols. So hopefully we do get on the field by summer, by June. So that way we're all eager to get on the field.
And as you mentioned, the vaccine, are you guys going to be obligated to get the vaccine because of the sport, or is it just like an option? Do you want to take it or not?
We haven't been notified about that, but if they do require for us to get it, then I think we should all get it.
Right.
Angel, I want to get a little bit more into like about the training aspect. It's pretty much been it's been like more than a year since the last time you actually played a actual game at Rio Hondo. I want to know a little bit about the training process and what you've been doing during this pandemic to stay in shape and to stay football fit, to stay
Mhm.
fit for soccer.
Yeah, as I said, we do have trainings online, remote. So as of right now, we do Monday through Thursday. We do 2 to 4 p.m. Uh, we do ball work, we do strength and conditioning, and then on every Friday we submit 3 miles under 20 minutes. Apart from that, I go to the gym. I do home workouts. I run whenever I can, and I do a lot of recovery workouts. That way, I have my ligaments, my muscles, my tendons all strength, like all strong and everything, ready for this upcoming season.
So are these actual sessions occurring through Zoom, and like do you guys have your camera on, or kind of like run me through the process of how a typical workout will go with the team?
Yeah, we usually start around. Well, class starts at 2, but we all get on at 1:55 to warm up and stretch, and then at 2, that's when it's pretty much game mode on. We start training, we start running through warm-ups, we start running through, push-ups. It's all set up by individual players. So we have, let's say, myself, it's the first week. I do the first week workouts. So I'll plan out what we're gonna do Monday, what we're gonna do Tuesday, what we're gonna do Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. So, it's just sometimes we'll do upper body, sometimes we'll do core, legs, a little bit of both. So,
Yeah.
ball work.
And as you mentioned, you said you had mentioned that you guys are hoping to return this summer. What are you expecting for this the upcoming season? How do you guys see your team? How well prepared are you guys for this season?
Um, Personally, I don't think that it's going to be a great season. I'm hoping it'll be a great season, but all this time, all these new players coming in, we're not having the ability to train together. Have that chemistry. You know, being able to understand one another. But through this Zoom, we understand who we are and what we do, what we want, but we're not able to show it. We're not able to show each other on the field what we can
Right.
do.
And like you said, with the new players, how have you guys been able to? How have you guys? How do I say? Got accustomed to the new players that have been coming in.
All through Zoom, our coach chooses volunteers or people that volunteer to run the workouts. That way, we understand who they are. They have that killer mentality. That mama mentality. Then if they show it on Zoom, they can show it on the field.
Right.
I'm curious to see too, the fact that you haven't been able to meet your teammates, those who committed, to come to Rio Hondo for this year. You haven't met them at all. Have you guys held like anything extra other than those Zoom workouts to kind of get to know each other? Like any, I guess like team get-togethers on Zoom or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. We've tried to be on FaceTime or Zoom or Skype, whatever we can to be able to talk to each other. Understand who we are, what we're majoring. Because as soon as we become a team, we become a family. So we try to have the best intentions for one another.
I want to get to know a little bit more about you, Angel. How long have you been playing, and what position do you play?
I've been playing since I was 6 years old, and I'm 21, so it's quite a long years. But
Right.
I've played a very wide variety of positions. But my main position it's winger, right winger or forward. But I've played right back, I've played center back, center mid, everything but goalie. I don't touch goalie.
Going into this upcoming season, hopefully if things are able to get back to normal and there is a 2021 season for you guys, what are some of the expectations you have for yourself and some expectations you have for the team?
Myself, starting with myself, I plan to be more physical. Being a second year player, I expect to be able to hold the ball, be able to understand the game more clearly, bring that maturity to the team. Uh, but as a team expectations, I believe um, just fighting for one another, sprinting that extra 5 yards to cover one another, or challenging the ball in the air, scoring, defending. I want the same intensity as we did last year or last season when we had a season.
I wanna ask you about your coach. How has he been a part of on keeping you guys motivated even though you guys haven't been playing? How has he been a part of making sure you guys train, making sure you guys stay fit?
Uh,
For
he he runs the Zoom meeting, so he's always on with us as well. The other coaches, we do have this group chat on the Sports U app, and he's always sending us motivational quotes. He's always sending us videos of soccer players, soccer athletes, athletes in general training, and he always motivates us during trainings. This is what we're working for. You get what you give. The more you put in, the more you're gonna receive out. And he's always telling us if we want to go play somewhere after, then he's the guy, and we got to prove it to him first.
I that's actually a great point that you bring up at the end that I kind of wanted to bring up right now. With your coach kind of bringing all this motivation, things like that. Obviously, one of those next steps for you that could come about in the future is potentially transferring to another school to continue both your degree and playing soccer. How has that changed? That whole process changed with the COVID-19 pandemic for you?
It's changed quite a bit. I feel like if we did have a season last year, I could have showcased my skills to other coaches, and coming now that I am getting older, I'm still young, 21, but I do have a lot of injuries, previous injuries, and I feel uh, you know I'm having less of the ability to train, having that mentality, especially with this COVID. It bummed a lot of us out, being that we can't train together anymore. There's been quite a few players that have left because they're doing so good in school, so they can't play with us this season. They're transferring out, but other than that, it's just you gotta fight.
right. And do you have any? Are you looking to transfer to a maybe a D1, D2 school?
I would hope to, if my abilities up to par, my skills up to par, then I would love to, but I'd rather focus more on my education than it.
Right. Like you mentioned before, soccer is all about giving that final yard, giving everything for the team. Do you think that you guys will have that same connection when you guys come back? Even though you guys have the Zoom meetings and you guys get to know each other a little bit, do you think that it's the same as being every day on the field, practicing every day together? Do you think you guys are gonna have that same connection when you guys get back on the field?
I hope so. I do believe that these young players that are coming in, they seem very hungry. Um, from last year spring, we did see them. They're actually giving us, quite a bit of a fight for our position. They're some are stronger than us, more fit than us, but at the end of the day, we got to be fit enough, so we got to push each other. That way, we're all hungry for that one goal, winning a state championship.
Just in general now, like if you have like one or two ultimate goals that you want to really accomplish in the future, what are those goals for you?
Do you mean the soccer aspect or education?
Both. It could be both education, soccer, whatever it means.
Uh, to obtain my degree, obviously for transfer, I want to be a. At first, I want to become a physical therapist, but I think that's a long-term goal. So I think my short term is a chiropractic practice. I want to do that, and also just being able to travel due to soccer, and having that as my ride to another university or something.
I do like. I want to switch now to a little bit more just about you personally. Um, a little bit of kind of like a rapid fire type of deal. Let's get straight into it. Do you have a like who is your favorite club that you support?
Real Madrid,
Real Madrid. Me too, man.
Oh, they were gonna.
Favorite player at the moment?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo. Favorite moment, both of you as a spectator, like actually watching the game, like as a fan, and your favorite moment of you playing as a player.
Uh, Favorite aspect. My first soccer game when I went to go watch Mexico versus New Zealand, I saw J.J Watt score a header, jump really high, and then playing a game. There's two actually. I went to Brazil and Spain, got the opportunity to travel out there, and I won two tournaments out there.
What has been your biggest tournament that you won? Well, either that be with the school or with the club.
It would be a club over there in Brazil and Spain, representing the U.S.
Next one. Would you rather win 5 Ballon d'Ors and 3 Champions Leagues, or would you rather win a World Cup and just not have those awards by your name?
The Champions League and the
Champions League.
yeah.
Wow. Favorite hobby for you other than soccer?
Working on my car.
Nice. What's your ideal pregame routine?
Pregame. Definitely music. I need music. Uh, depending if it's a morning game, big breakfast. Just get my head right, focus, have that Mamba mentality.
Last one. Champions League prediction for this season. Who's gonna win it? Who's gonna take it?
I think Bayern has a good chance.
Back to back. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you for coming on. Getting to give us a little bit more in depth on what the situation is during these tough times and giving us an in-depth view, like a player's perspective of things going on during the pandemic and what you've been doing to keep in shape and to really keep intact with the soccer team. So I appreciate you for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate having me.
Any final comments you wanna say? Anything?
Just stay positive.
Awesome.
Always be optimistic.
Appreciate it, Angel. With that said, that's going to conclude this first premiere segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight. Again, thank you, Angel, and we will see you next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It was an absolute great time getting to know a little bit more about Angel and the Rio Hondo College soccer program here. Definitely hardships we've all gone through and will continue to move on from, though. But with that said, this puts the finishing touches to this premiere segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight. And this also concludes this episode of The Sportsrunner. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified of future Sportsrunner episodes. You can also check this episode out on our online website, elpaisanoonline.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at elpaimedia. On behalf of our team, I'm Enrique Medina. Thank you for watching this episode of The Sportsrunner. We'll see you next week. Peace.